All right, Fearless Mods fans, here we are today on one of your favorite cars, 08 GTI Mark V. Today we're looking to replace the rear control arms because the struts are loose and it's giving a whole lot of rear end wiggle side to side, feels unstable out on the highway. Rather than pressing them out and putting new ones in, we're just gonna go straight with these. So let's get to it. Chandler has already taken off this side and we're going to be trying to get that bolt right there, which is a little bit of a problematic one because of this muffler. So we'll get in there and get that. This side's off, so we're going to be taking this off, the spring out like we did on the other side, and that end off. He's got these replacement buckets. He's got this arm right here that's going to be a lot of fun. And trail arm, there's one for each side, and those are right here. So this component, this component, this component on both sides. And what that does leave is this one bushing right here that is not getting replaced. We're jacked up, tires are off, jack stands on both sides for safety. So let's go ahead and start tearing apart this side. What we're doing here, 18mm wrench here. I've got the impact with a swivel socket and the 18mm here. Should be able to get on this side and zip it off like that. Okay, maybe I'm gonna need the sledge. Now the fun part will be that the bolt is going to hit the muffler. Thankfully the muffler has a little bit of movement to it. We finally got that out. What we had to do was pry on it while we turned it to get it to break loose. It was held into that grommet pretty good, so we were able to slide it out and kick it up at an angle so it would come out up over the muffler. So we got that out. Now I'm moving on to this little J looking arm here. So again, swivel socket, 18mm impact with an extension here, so hopefully I can get the impact on it. And a wrench is going to go back here on the back side of it over there, and then we'll pull off this sensor off of it here and the bolt here, and then that'll be the top piece. Let's see. Second. So we got one more here, and one more up here.
Oh, is this the trail arm?
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get this clip off here. I think it looks like we just right there like that, and it's off. So the clip's off there. We've already got the inner bolt out of that. So now we'll pull this outer bolt from it here, and then we got two bolts for the trail arm here and here. And then that should be all the components on this side, and we'll start slapping them back together with new stuff. Okay guys, whew, man, what a job. We didn't show you much on that, but I will show you down in here what we're looking at. So we have replaced the lower control arm there. He's already got the spring. We adjusted the height on that a little bit, gave him another 1/2 inch of height. You can see kind of like that J bar that goes down under there and hooks up inside, up in over there. And then the lower control link across there. So those are the three that we replaced. Hopefully we can show you a little bit more on this one as we tear it apart with a couple lessons learned. Hopefully it'll go quicker. It usually just seems to be like some of the bolts fight you, trying to slide them out. This one's a real bear because of the exhaust and having to get the whole bolt pulled out into the exhaust and angle it into the bracket, both when you're taking it out and then putting the new one in. A little bit sketchy when you got the new bushing there and you're having to tweak on it a little bit. We'll try to show you that this time when we go back together with it. So what we're looking at here is this the headlight level sensor to see what we got to do. It looks like there's 3 bolts on it that we just take off and remove the whole bracket. With a T25 Torx head, WD-40 behind it? I don't know that we can. So the next thing we're going to do here is take out this outer control arm bolt, and then we will get the inner one there. We've got them soaking. We're going to get that bolt and then that bolt. All right, so we got the outer bolt out, lowered that down, and pulled out the spring. So now Chandler's working on the inner bolt. The ratchet and the socket on one side, wrench on the other. 18 millimeters on those. And I'm gonna go ahead and unclip this connector. There we go. Just by, you can see the clip there. I'm just gonna pry here with a little screwdriver, pry outward.
Oh, you already have. Where'd that?
Like that.
This.
And then that just comes up over the top, out from underneath, so that's off. And now we'll go ahead and start taking off some of these bolts, inner and outer on this sway arm, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we undid this hanger here to drop this exhaust down just a little bit so that bolt would come out a little easier along that angle on the inner part there. It's just pull these out so that we can get this bolt to come out once we unscrew it. I'm going to take the lower sway bar link off so that it will allow that to drop down a little more to get out of the way of that bolt. So we got this one out. We're leaving the bolt kind of in here just a little bit. Got our 21 millimeter half-inch drive socket that we'll put on this side and hold it on this side, and hopefully we can break it loose. I don't think we did. I think I have to break it. I have to break it loose with the breakover bar first. That's why we got that bolt in there, because it tries to move a lot otherwise. There we go. All right. It's best once we got these two bolts out, and even the top one up here on the the little J piece here. We find it's best to keep them in there so that when you're cranking on all these other rusted bolts, it gives you something to pull against, so that the suspension's not just you know, bouncing back and forth on you. So we just loosely place them in there. This is the fourth and last bolt for these two cross members. We've already got the bottom one off, as you know. So once we get this one out, we'll pull all the bolts out and we'll be ready to throw in all the new components. All right, so now we'll just pull these bolts out. There's the J bar or whatever the heck it is. See how springy that is? That's why you want to have that out, or keep those in there while you do that. So there's all three components out. Now we can start putting them back in. We'll clean up some bolts first, because they had some white powdery stuff where they were seizing up inside the rubber. Is very odd. We'll adjust the coil over on this side because we were going a half-inch higher. So we'll go ahead and do that to the spring on this side as well, and then start slapping it all together. So there's the spring mount that goes underneath. We moved it up a half-inch from the bottom here, and so now we've got our upper and the hardware. So we'll go ahead and get that installed. What's the brand on these? What did we get?
Miley or Mile, however you say it.
And you got them from where?
SCP Euro.
Comes with some new hardware. Not all of them, like the trailing arm doesn't come with it, but this upper and I think the cross member I think had new hardware too, maybe. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and slap this on. There we go. So there's like this star nut thing, washer, which is kind of bizarre, and the nut with the plastic crush in there. So the bolt's gonna go on this side because it goes through the actual cross member, structural knuckle piece, through the arm, but then it just sticks out, and so this essentially is just kind of butting up against the bushing, kind of like that. And then this one, the bolt goes in from this side, and then it has the washer that fits down the groove of the bolt and the nut that goes on. And these kind of have little trenches in there. It's hard to see, I don't know if you can see it in here, but there's little where the metal is popped up out here, so that this will set in there just right. Actually, the nut was on this side, so we got it seated so that the head of the bolt, which is fixed, was down in those grooves, and then we were able to kind of just keep it in there so it wouldn't rotate while we ran the nut down, and then we tighten it down.
I just started again.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I've got the bolt in there. This one's a little harder to get to than the other side, so I'm gonna slide under here. Get it where it feels like it's seated between some of those grooves. Yeah, close enough. I'm gonna slide this on, and it should likewise sit between them, which it is. And keep pressure on the head of the bolt so it stays within those grooves while I start to put this on. And that's as far as I'm gonna get it without wrenches because of the plastic crush piece. All right, so we've got the upper and lower arms reinstalled. There's I guess the trail, and then the upper J arm in there doing its thing. We hooked up the sway bar again, both down here at the link and up here at these star bolts, so that we could put that after we put that bolt in. So all that's tight. Just got to put this connector back on up here. Not too big of a deal. Snap it around, line it up, and then squeeze it together. So there we go. So that's on. Chandler is cleaning up the lower bucket arm, whatever you call it. Got to put the rubber boot back in there. We cleaned it up and got the rust and rocks off of it. That just slides in. The other thing sits on top of it from this side. It's not going to snap in, so we'll just leave it in there like that. And then we'll set the collar down on top of it. So now the fun part is getting this back up in there. Look at all that white powder coming out from that old bolt that was there. So we will have this kicked over at an angle like that, so that we can try to get the bolt in. Again, we still have the muffler detached, so it'll give us a little more room to get that bolt in. And we'll try to get it started at an angle. Once we get it in enough where the bolt head will clear the muffler, we will rotate this around, pick it up in there, and then insert the bolt the rest of the way through. We got the front, or the inner bolt in, and it's mostly tight. It's just snug. We haven't completely tightened it up yet because we want to wait until we get this in. We've installed the spring with the bolt, the 22mm bolt underneath it, and we went ahead and just stuck the muffler back on. I sprayed some WD-40 on there so it would just slide over real easy. Went on easier than it came off. So now we're just jacking this up with a block of wood to get it to line up and put in the last bolt here. Once we do that, we'll tighten it up, tighten that inner one up, and that will be it right there. Perfect. So now those are all tight. The last thing we've got to do is reattach the headlight leveler on that bracket. We've got two bolts. One of them was stripping out, so we ended up just slitting the tab a little bit and sliding it out from underneath the bolt. All right, guys, another long night in the Fearless Mods garage. We're actually a total wreck here, but we here's what we replaced.
Left and right, lower control arm, upper control arm, trail arm.
So we're going to throw the wheels on, and it'll be ready for an alignment. That rear end sway should be totally taken care of. It was all but one bushing. Was the only one that we didn't do, one on each side. I know you like GTI content, and we haven't put any out for a while, so hopefully this will whet your appetite. This was a ball buster of a job. Could it be done with one person? Maybe, but it definitely takes two people's strength, I think, to hold this bolt, twist that nut, whatever you might be trying to do, pry on this bar. It was a lot of work for a rusted up old, 11-year-old car, essentially. So definitely, I would say a two-person job, and even then, took a lot longer than we expected. It was some work, but we got her done. Thank you for watching. If you like it, please click the button below, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care.